Together as One podcast. My name's Margaret Wallace-Duffy, and I'm always thrilled to be next to my two amazing co-hosts, Mr. Todd Miller and Claire Gavin. How are you guys?
Amazing. Thank you.
How you doing, Todd?
Doing really well. I'm
Good.
glad to be here as always with another exciting guest and topic.
You know what? That is for sure today. I got to tell you, I am super excited and beyond pumped. You know, I truly believe in life. When you follow your passion and purpose, you lean in, and I like to say, live where the butterflies are, and sometimes just ask the question. You sometimes get the answer you want. And that's about the guest today, because Claire, you and I have been following this incredible woman, and you reached out to her. So I'm going to leave it in your capable hands to tell the story about our guest today, why you reached out. And actually, before we do, I guess I should probably give a little bit of her credits, because
I was just going to say,
oh my gosh,
I'm so excited that she's here.
The fact that she's on our Better Together as One podcast. Susie Moore is a life coach. She is a contributor to an advice columnist to some of the biggest media platforms. She's been featured in things like Oprah.com, The Huffington Post, Marie Claire, Entrepreneur. Can we go on? And she decided out of her busy schedule that she would come and share her brilliance on our Better Together as One podcast, and we couldn't be any more honored and excited. So welcome, Susie.
Thank you. I'm so delighted to be here. And Claire, thank you so much for reaching out.
Well, thank you. So just before we sort of kick off and get into all the juiciness of all the things, I got this gorgeous book right here, Stop Checking Your Likes, and was super excited about it. And as a life coach myself, I read many, many books, and I was really excited to read this book. And as I got into it, as I often do, I put it on my story on Instagram, and I tagged Susie, not thinking anything of it. And I literally put my book down for 5 minutes, and I think I went to the washroom, and I came back, and she sent me a voice message on my Instagram DMs, and I was freaking out. And so I was like, oh my God, nobody was here. I was all alone, and it was early in the morning, and she did this, so I was crazy. So I'm like, so I started messaging you back, and I thought, I'm going to ask her if she'll come on our show. And she just said, yeah, let's do it. And then from here she is. So incredibly excited, Susie. Thank you for coming on. So let's dive in. This beautiful book of yours, Stop Checking Your Likes, I believe is your first book. Is that correct?
Second book,
Your second book.
Mm-hmm.
What I love about the beginning of this book that you say is that it's not a self-help book, but it's a sanity book, leading you back to who you truly are, which I really love. So sort of give us, your journey in all of this, from where you came from to sort of, where you are today, because I just love it.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, in terms of my career background, my background is corporate. I worked in tech. I sold programmatic video software, very sexy, right? The tech world and video. And I always knew I wanted to work for myself. I always knew it. The work that I was doing was good. It was fine, and I was grateful, to have a good job. But at the end of it all, I just thought, this isn't, my life's work, and I won't be satisfied if if as the years pass, because the years pass, whether you follow your passion or not, will I be proud of this? Like, will this be enough? And I just knew I wanted to coach, and I started growing my business by getting into the media. I thought, gosh, that'd be really fun, like fun and easy. And I think that we can allow more things to be easy than we think. I think we love to complicate things as humans. And so I just kind of really believe in going for it, kind of like you, Claire, just like reaching out is just something that I do. I think it's a great virtue not to overthink things. And I've been able to, I think, create the business that I've wanted my way. So not following, I guess, what some people do. I don't even have any accreditations. I'm very, very open about this, because I think sometimes too, we can get stuck into the procrastinator trap, and we can hold back thinking we need more and more and more, when we simply don't. Everything that we have is within us. We just kind of need the courage to take the action, which is what my book is about, essentially.
Susie, I love that. And when you talk about wanting more out of life and just going for it, I really resonate with your story, because almost 20 years ago, as a clinic owner, a therapist, I had never done radio or television. I had no clue how to even begin that, but I needed people to come in the door. I needed people to know about me. And I loved to educate people on how to live a healthy, holistic life. So I, back before computers, faxed for every day for a year, a nationwide show here in Canada called City Line. And I think after about a year, they finally decided this woman's nuts. She's not giving up. We're going to have her on the show. And we taped originally, and then I finally did live television. And I really would love for you to speak to leaning into that fear and feeling of being uncomfortable. I think so many of us shy away from being uncomfortable and won't do it. I had to be so uncomfortable and out of my element, but the payoff is tremendous. The learning is incredible. Can you speak a little bit to that and the importance of it?
Oh yes, absolutely. I love talking about this. The way that I actually define confidence is very simple. I think sometimes we get it wrong. We think the confident people are the ones who are just always winning, getting it right. They have to be very charismatic or whatever it may be. But confidence is simply the willingness to experience negative emotion. And when you think about it, yeah, uncomfortable. That's how it feels, right? It's like, oh my gosh, am I ready? What's the response going to be? But a confident person is simply willing to be shut down, rejected, criticized, humiliated, like whatever we fear so much. Because as human beings, we will do anything to avoid pain, right? We will just like hide, stay small, keep our life really contained. And when you really think about it, to be a more confident person, it's just the decision to be willing to be uncomfortable a little bit more. That's it. Because, when you think about it too, all emotions are temporary, right? So the worst thing that can happen to you is a feeling if you're willing to kind of go for it. So someone can say no or reject you or ignore you, like big deal. But like you said, the payoff, Margaret, I mean, who knows? Like who knows how far you can go? Only you once you start rolling. And it's pretty fascinating. I think that the good news is for those of us who are willing to go for it, it's not that crowded. Like so much isn't that crowded because most people give up really soon or they only try a couple of things. But the future belongs to no one. And if you're willing to go for it, like in coaching, we speak about the confidence competence loop a lot, meaning, if you're confident, you'll take more action, then you become naturally more competent, which then leads to more confidence. And it's just this gorgeous cycle. So that's just that's the cycle that I'm going to live. I mean, it's up to us, right? So why not choose something that's really going to work for you?
Oh, you know what? I love that. We are just at the tip of the iceberg here with you, Susie. We're going to need to take a really quick break, but we will be back in just a moment as we got to dive in deeper with not just Susie's story and her book, but her philosophy, which is just so inspiring. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to Better Together as One. I'm Todd Miller with our great guest, Susie Moore. I'm wondering, as a man, your brand new book, Stop Checking Your Likes, do you find that your message and the book is resonating with men? I don't know how open we typically are about some of this stuff, about, how popular we are, how we feel our message is resonating. But are you finding that men are resonating with your message?
Yeah, it's so interesting. So I know that my audience is naturally, a bit more female. I've done surveys and I've checked it, but I, first of all, love the men in my world. I love it when they come in. And I feel, absolutely, because all the emotions we experience, all the, whatever we kind of go through in our life, it's just the common human experience. I feel like some women are maybe more willing to kind of consume this information. They're more hungry for it. But yeah, I mean, the men who do, I feel like there's so much to, like, when we focus on consuming information that's going to help us, learning tactics, understanding other people's stories, it only enriches us. And it's funny, I had a comment from a man who said, oh my gosh, I read your book and I feel like I'm almost cheating because I'm getting all these strategies that are going to save me a lot of pain. And I'm like, yes, that's the way to think about it. I mean, isn't reading such a wonderful tool to be able to, almost like shortcut things by learning from others and learning from their stories? So, I mean, yes, absolutely. And us women, we love men too who consume this type of stuff, don't we, ladies? Like,
absolutely. Absolutely.
We love it.
Yeah. Awesome. So Susie, I just with finishing up your book, there was sort of a couple really great things in the book. There were so many great things. And what a couple of little parts that really sort of resonate with me a little bit that I was going to ask you to speak about was one in particular was when you receive negativity and what you do being on a media platform and, maybe think people always have an opinion, right? And I remember you speaking about the fact that you were upset and then you went to a friend and your friend was like, so what? And that's such an important question that I think that we need to sort of identify with and ask ourselves a little bit more and sort of how do you switch your mind from that, the so what, they don't like me. Oh, well.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, it's such a good question. Just these two words. So what? I mean, it can cause you relief from so much potential offense, from so much, but potential suffering. I mean, when we agree to, I think, be a bit lighter about things, realize that not everything is so serious. Like you can take a mean comment. So somebody said that I look like a man. That was the comment that I got. I mean, initially I was reeling. I was like, what? Because you know what it's like as a content creator. You put your heart into your work. It takes you time. It involves so much of you. And I remember just feeling upset about it. And then, when you hear this question, so what? It's almost like saying, yeah, who cares? Or really, what's it to me? You can kind of, replace it with anything. But the goal is to soothe yourself, right? To make it not so dramatic. And I feel like we can apply this to so much. I mean, it can be, this question, so what, can let a fight go with somebody, right? It can improve your day. Because in the morning, if something doesn't work out, so your car doesn't work, or you get an annoying email or whatever it may be, that can derail you.
Absolutely.
And then how you spend your days is how you spend your life, right? And so you want to have this attitude of levity, right? Truly, so what? There are only really some things that are very serious that require our attention, right? Yeah. And caring less doesn't mean that we're careless. It just means that we're free and happy and light. And frankly, it also makes you really attractive if you have this attitude, because everyone's like, how is it so easy for her? How's she so happy? And it's a wonderful attitude. So the next time something's a problem or a perceived problem, I think asking yourself this question can take you in a much better direction.
Do you know what I love about that, Susie? I mean, there's many things in the obvious that you just spoke about, but as therapists, both Claire and I, and all the years of studying and thousands of patients that we treat, the mind-body connection, it is incredible when we do have that sort of response. Chemically, things change in our body, and it will manifest physiologically. Our thoughts become our emotions in our body, it can impact our health. And so what I love about that is how profound it can be, not just in your mental health, but in your physical well-being as well, and improving your resilience. That's a mic drop for me. So thank you for bringing, because it is so important. And the so what is such a powerful way to recognize that it's not your responsibility to know what someone else thinks of you.
Yes. And when did we become general managers of the universe who have to take care of everything and have to go our way? I mean, not everything also has to go our way, and that's also cool.
Absolutely.
Well, and the other thing too that I love, just the other thing that you would say as well, which I think is incredibly impactful, is when, instead of saying, what's wrong, just ask yourself the question, what's missing, and that as well, I think, is pivotal in how we can really look at things and reflect on things. So
yes, I love this question because, just say something doesn't work out, whatever it is, maybe you have a failed business launch, or if you're having an issue with, a friend, or something's just going wrong in some type of relationship or some area of your life. Always our brain goes to what's wrong? What do I need to fix? And even just focusing on what's wrong makes what's wrong expand, right? Because what we focus on expands. And when you think, really what's missing in this friendship, or what was missing with this venture that I launched, this opens up your creativity. Right? And even just what we start visualizing and thinking, it's actually far more intelligent. It's a far more intelligent question to be asking yourself, because who knows, right? It takes the pressure off and it opens up these new pathways to think about, what's missing, and who knows then what the answer can be. It can be something quite delicious and unexpected, and you're thinking about adding, because we live in a universe where we always want to be adding, not focus on removing, right? But focusing on adding, because our focus is so important. So yes, I love that question. Thank you.
Well, and it really is an empowering question. I love when we're able to switch people into empowerment. And quite frankly, that's what this podcast is about. It's about bringing people to the table like you to help be better together as one and give them tools. And that is an empowerment tool, is to simply shift the mindset of the way you ask a question and then reflect on it. And what I loved about what you just said is that it opens creativity instead of shutting us down, and then we want to quit. So, so we still have more to share here. We need to dive into the book, and don't go away, because we're going to have a giveaway of Susie's amazing book, Stop Checking Your Lights. So stay with us. We'll be right back here on Better Together as One.
Hello and welcome back, everyone, to Better Together as One. We are here with Susie Moore, the lovely author. So Susie, with all the questions that we have for this beautiful book, I'm just wondering if you were to give words of advice for people sort of starting out, especially in the online world and the corporate, not the corporate, sorry, but the coaching space is just a lot right now. And as a coach myself, I'm curious, just from a business perspective, your feelings and thoughts on all of it. And, where do you begin? You talk a lot about media and writing, and where would you suggest people even begin as a business online?
Yes. Well, if you have, a feeling and inclination to start a business, do it. I think it's never been easier or better. There's never been a better time in history. I mean, even when I started out just a few years ago, it was really expensive to create a website, for example, and payment gateways were tricky. It wasn't as easy as it is now. And I really believe that if you have a calling to do it, it will work if you work, right? We have to kind of do our parts. We have to kind of understand that, it's going to take courage, right? We just need the courage to take some action, get started, not have a whole plan laid out, but understand that, success and failure, they're the same road. Success is just further along that road. And most people get quite cozy in their parking spots, right, on that road, and they stop. But those of us who want to keep going, we can. The only way to fail at anything is to give up. Right, really, that's the only way you guarantee no forward momentum, right? Mm-hmm. With anything in the world, right? So with business, with life, with anything. And so if you want to go for it, truly go for it. There is nothing to wait for. I always say later is never. Later is never. The time is truly the time is now. And you can start a business now with such ease. I mean, what a privilege to be alive at this time. I always think that and feel so appreciated. I appreciate it so much. But yes, if you have a feeling, get rolling. There are so many incredible free resources online. And then I'd invest in a couple of, teachers or mentors who you really trust. And they vary based on who you are and what you want to do, but there is incredible resources to get started.
Amazing.
Well, one of those resources happens to be you, Susie. So I want to share with our viewers and our listeners that I am actually taking your 5 Minutes to Famous online course. We have a learning academy, a Better Together as One and a One Life Learning Academy, where everyday people or healthcare professionals can take courses. And I really love the fact that you're offering this course online for entrepreneurs like myself. Even when I've had lots of media training and media experience, when you talk about getting, for example, contributing to a big media outlet like an Oprah.com or a Huffington Post or the Today Show or wherever, I love to lean in and dream big. And when I took one of your free webinars, which I think is a really smart thing to do, I immediately fell in love with you, your passion, and your purpose is so crystal clear. It brought me in. So I'm really excited to dive into this course. Can you just talk briefly to that course? Because I'm sure there's a lot of entrepreneurs out there, whether you're a seasoned one or a new one just starting out in this pandemic, because people are pivoting. We need to pivot right now. Well, we're doing that. And can you talk about that online course a little bit?
Yes, absolutely. So if you're a business owner, your main job is to be visible, right? To be discovered, because it's our job, right? To let people know about us, about our products and services. And when I discovered that the media could grow my business for free and give me a lot of credibility, authority. I mean, I've had people in my program who've increased their prices just because they've added all the logos to the website where they've been featured. And I think that's wonderful. It's interesting how the media works. It doesn't make you better at your job, but it makes the whole world think that you are the best.
Absolutely.
Right. So why not go for it? Why not take it all the way to the top? Go for the thing you think you need to wait for or earn. Do it first. I got into the media before I even had a website, before I even had a Facebook business page, when I was just side hustling, at the weekend. So I believe that, life can be hacked in certain ways. I really love a good hack. And I feel like this is a way to really just, put yourself forward, to really jump ahead. And, if you want to do it without kind of figuring out advertising or the kind of, back end things that need to be in place, if you want to run paid ads, like why not just be your own ad and share what you know and impact people with that and then let them come to you? Like, let it be easy is always my mantra.
Yeah, I've never had a PR person, and I've been on many national TV shows and done, but you're absolutely right. It was just putting yourself out there, doing it, failing forward a million times,
yes,
and then learning and growing as you go. And then I got bit by the media bug, and it's something that I enjoy because I see it as a platform, as you said right at the beginning of this conversation. It's a platform to get your message out in a way that will bring you credibility. And I love that you can do it and just be authentic. And that's what I love about you, is that you're here on our show. You're the same person here on this show as you are when I watched you on the Today Show. And that's so important. How important is it to you to just be authentically who you are?
Well, I feel like anything else would be exhausting. Like, who else could you be? I mean,
right.
Yeah. And I feel like whenever you're real or you feel comfortable being yourself, it's also a really generous thing to do, especially in the imperfect areas, because we learn through real life role models. And if someone's willing to show up imperfectly, say, hey, I know this isn't conventional about me, or in my book, Claire, I've shared a lot of bizarre kind of stories. I feel like, well, it's the truth. Right? That nothing wrong with the truth matters, and it's all okay. Like whatever it is, like it's truly all okay. And being just the first rate version of yourself, like learning to like yourself, I always feel like that's really the only really priority we have in our lifetime, right? To lean into who we are and to think that it's all okay.
Mm-hmm. I agree. And I think, what you showed me anyways, just my little takeaways from your book, which is many, but I really loved your vulnerability in the book.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, there's a lot of that holds us back. What are people going to think? And, how am I going to do that if I haven't? And I love your honesty and the vulnerability that you had in the books. I think it's incredibly inspiring. So good job.
Oh, thank you. And anyone who wants to share a story, I feel like, again, it's generous. If you've overcome something, even if it feels kind of ugly or there's shame, I mean, if you've overcome anything, there's someone who hasn't yet. There's someone who's going to go through the same experience or similar. And so if you can just be the example of someone who's okay, but I think that's a wonderful thing to do and to share it, right? Like go big, tell your story. We want to know, right? Human beings, we learn from other people the best, like learning from their stories. It's like this awesome shortcut to wisdom. And I think that is, if anyone feels called to share a story, like also doing it in the media is a really like recommended, generous thing to do.
Yeah.
Oh,
sure. It's brave.
Susie, thank you so, so much. You've given so many nuggets of inspiration and actual practical tips for our listeners and viewers today. We are really excited because you've generously giving us a book to give away. So what we're going to need everybody to do is to head on over to our new Instagram page, Better Together as One. Give us a like and tag a couple of people as well. We cannot wait to give away your book and to hopefully have you back on the show again. It has been such an honor and we've learned so much. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so
Susie.
Much. Thank you.
Yeah.
So on behalf of our entire Better Together as One team and of course TV Kojiko, we truly love educating, empowering, and inspiring all of you to live well, and we can do it better together. And that's why we have guests like we did today. Until next time, stay well.